together a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that we agreed on fairly quickly, because as you were talking, I was thinking this is going to have real good value to a lot of the HMO developers that I know, a lot of people in the industry that are not necessarily even developers, people coming in using deal packages to create a product, the less risk. So I would imagine a lot of people listening will go, well, how much does all that cost? That sounds quite expensive service. But actually what we agreed upon when we were talking, it's quite obvious to me, is that this is actually a real saving. So there's two elements of saving here that I want to try and talk about. The first element, going through those stages, the savings and reducing the risks to the client from a build phase. So from the very beginning, what points do you see that actually your service can actually save them money and to help them make less mistakes and to help them go backwards from a development phase?
Yeah. So this world is quite complex anyway, and then comes with all sorts of issues. We know that. Let's say you're thinking of like starting investing in property, and then you chose HMO as your field. Yeah. And you start looking for properties, you like for finance and good solicitors, and all you like to build your power team around you. Yeah. So let's say you find the property, and then you have a lot of people. You're looking for recommendations for builders and things like that. Yeah. You're about to start the process and then converting this. And my question to you, do you have a really detailed plan for what's going to happen with your interiors? Because this is where the work is going to be happening, right? And a lot of people that I talk to, and they have a rough understanding or maybe like a generic, but not necessarily to the detail what's going to happen. And then for me, I wouldn't go in a project like this without a clear understanding what's going to happen with the interior. So first of all, with what we do, we try to minimize cost. And then for you to have peace of mind that when you press the button and then start this project, you have everything's been costed. You have the clarity what's going to happen. Yeah. You know how it's going to look like. Yeah. And then so try to minimize cost from the labor perspective. Try to minimize material cost. Yeah. Yeah. So that alone can easily be balanced. That's thousands for sure.
Thousands already. Yeah.
So if you're talking about like a standard like back to brick renovation, like 7-8 bedroom, like with an extension with the loft conversions like that, that's it could be 200K, 180, easy. 200. Yeah. So that's sort of these kind of figures we're talking about, as we know. And what we come in with, like trying to minimize this cost early on. Try to have this project like have it completed like faster than you would have in a regular scenario, because you have the clarity, so you don't have these extra visits on site by electrician. I mean, you might be in a position that electrician comes on site thinking that it's going to have how many PowerPoints, how many spotlights he's going to have to work on, and then maybe he has had allowed for, I don't know, 7 days, 7 business working days, like for work. When in reality, you thought overnight, you know what, maybe I should have one there, one half there. But he doesn't have time for it because he's booked for the other job, right? He's going to have to come back some other time and so on. So if you have decided about this like way in advance, then you give the plans to them, and then they...
Well, the amount of HMO developments I go to that, the landlord or the developer will say, look, can you value the property? I'm going to sell in a couple of months and do it as a flip. Or can you give me an idea of the GDV valuation? Because we're going to either finance it or sell it on. Then 2 months later comes by and the project's not moved forward at all, because I go to that many developments where sockets have been put in the wrong place, or where the builder's taken a view and gone to Wix and bought a load of plastic sockets, whereas actually the developer turns up and they're supposed to be chrome or whatever it is, and glass sockets, and things haven't been built properly, stud walls have not been in the place. So then you're going backwards as well. So what we're saying is front loading all of that at the beginning. You're saving, there's clarity, so you can save cost on just the quotations and the time people are on site. Then there's the delays without having to go backwards or wait for people or make mistakes. But then what we've also talked about previously, those delays and those sort of saving the delays, that's bridging finance, and that's money that you've got tied up that you're suddenly saving as well during that time.
So, well, I'd say there are 3 main aspects to this, and we're trying to save money and also increase how much you can get in return once it's all done and finished. So first, to minimize cost in labor and material,
Yep.
then time as well, to have it done faster than you would have done in the first place. And also as a result of what we've done, for you to attract a better tenant and higher returns once you have it finished. And then I'm just trying to pass the message that people think that they need to have an architect, they need to have a builder, so that they consider that that's part of their power team, and they need to have a good solicitor and so on. But they consider interior designer like something that it's a nice to have thing, like it's a nice service. I mean, I think, why do I need that? Why? I mean, because they only think of the last part of the process, which is the nice things to have. But just going back to what we discussed earlier, it's a lot more functional that is aesthetically pleasing. So
it's minimizing so many grey areas, and it's just creating a much more detailed final spec, which from the development phase just creates a lot more certainty, and builders that aren't working to certainty will make mistakes and what have you.
So from that point of view, we are on your side.
Yeah.
We're not the one like coming against and then trying to sell you something. We're here to help, and then to minimize cost, maximize returns, so on. So it's an investment rather than a cost. And usually, how much you charge usually is like for a 7-8 bed is like 3.5K out of 200, which is 1.5%. And then usually, from experience, we know that transfers to a 25 increase in rental at the end of it. So for me, that's no brainer. You sleep better at night knowing that everything's been discussed. You go in the project.
But if you're keeping on top of, so for me, there's two clear phases where this is like I say, it's an investment and it's a no-brainer. We're talking now about the higher end, professional HMOs market. So the developers that are going out there and creating the best products, and they want to create a brand around themselves, and they want to create something that is remaining at that top of the market. So you've got, during the development phase, all the certainties and the advantages that you can get for optimizing your build phase. Then as you transition from finishing the build, you're saving on bridging finance, you can get on your term loan quicker, you're exiting, the expensive finance quicker. But the gap between when it's fully tenanted and operational, which we'll talk about in a second, there's also the crossover period where your renders and your 3D images and your internal 3D 360s, you're filling rooms quicker as well. Yeah. So we've said about testing the market as a pilot when you're doing the development early, just to see, could we get away with 690 or could we get away with 750? But aside from that, as you're approaching the last 4 to 5 weeks of the build and it's nearly being delivered, you can actually fill rooms off the back of the 3D renders.
Yeah, this happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people we work with, the investors we work with, this is what they use to market the property in advance, and then you build that pipeline of potential tenants.
So even if you gain 1 month, let's say 6-bed all ensuite HMO, £700 a month. What's 6 times 7? I don't even know what 6 times 7 is. 4,200.
Yes.
So even just bringing in 1 month's rent early, that pays for the outlay.
Yeah, but not only that, but you always have all the other associated costs which comes with your bridging finance and everything else, But also your peace of mind that you already have interest. If you start marketing a property like 2 or 3 months prior to the property being finished, obviously you're not pressured by time, and then you relax. You have inquiries coming in, and you only need 8 good tenants, right? And then obviously this you might end up in the position then you have like 24 before the property being finished.